Hi, good evening. My name is Jay Rothman. I'm the host of the show. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk Live. Welcome back to the show this evening. Again, my name is Jay. I'm the host of the show. I am excited to introduce in the studio this evening Mr. Josh Richer, coming in from Southern California. Welcome to the show tonight, Josh Richer.
Great to see you guys.
We also have Jeff Fasano coming in from Nashville, Tennessee. Welcome back, Jeff Fasano. We missed you last week, brother.
Hey, I missed you guys last week. I'm glad to be back.
Nice, and of course, we have the man of the land from down under. He resides in Australia, the other side of the pond, Everslove Heath. Welcome back to Real Men, Real Talk Live.
Thanks for having me, brothers and sisters. Looking forward to diving deep tonight for our brothers.
As we take a moment here to welcome our viewers and listeners joining us from across the globe, we welcome you to Real Men, Real Talk Live this evening. If you should hear something that you like or love, please tap your love button and light us up. Get us hot tonight on Real Men, Real Talk Live. If you should have a comment you'd like to share or a question, drop it down into your comment section in the live stream, whether you're coming in from Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube. Welcome back to Real Men, Real Talk Live. We are at the halfway mark in the year. June 30th is the date in the U.S., that is, of course. And tonight's episode is 111. And tonight's show is all about what makes a real man real. That question is one that brings some discomfort to many people, men and women, especially some men out there. They go, well, what makes you think that you know what a real man is? And so, Everslove, I'm going to invite you to light us up and kick us off tonight and drop some ideas into what makes a real man real in 2022.
Beautiful. Thanks, brothers and sisters. On the other side of the pond for you in the land down under, ready to dive in deep. We're always grateful for your support. But just on a quick side note, we're going to sing Jay the Rothman a happy birthday, brothers and sisters.
That's right.
Just over there on the other side of the pond. It was yesterday.
Yeah.
I actually intuitive gave the brother a call. And he did not tell me on the phone that it was his birthday until I checked the Facebook notifications today, man. So let's do it, brothers and sisters. On 1, 2, let's go. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jay Rothman. Happy birthday to you.
I don't know. I think this is the first time I've been serenaded by three men.
Three real men.
And you know what? For the first time in my life, I think I'm at peace with it. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for for wishing me a happy birthday. But as I sat and had a beautiful lunch today with friends in the community, I do want to share that what I told them is my truth today is that I don't celebrate my birthday once a year. I celebrate every single day. When I wake up and I have one more day to breathe, it is a day to honor. And each day that we are blessed is a new day. It's a new birthing of self. And, that's my truth today. It makes it a whole lot easier because I no longer live in expectations around what's going to make this day so special because it's the day that I was birthed by my mom. And by the way, I do want to shout out to my mom who birthed me. She's still alive. She's somewhere in her mid 80s. I'm going to respect her wishes to to be a little bit private around her birthday, her own birthday. But Mom, thank you for birthing me and releasing me out into the universe so I could show up and do the work I do today. And so thank you for sharing my birthday with me, Mom. And thank you for being a viewer and a fan of this podcast, which holds a very special place in my heart, as well as in Evis's, Jeff's, and Josh's. And so what do you guys want to take tonight's show? Thank you again.
Yeah, man. That was beautifully said, Joe. I just wanted to do that for you, my man. And we're talking about what makes a real man real. And like Jay said, my brothers and sisters, intrinsically, I think innately, deep down, a real man knows what a real man is. It's in his nature. It's in his biology. But unfortunately, I would go just about maybe even 3 decades ago, we've now been sitting in a program where many brothers, they hate themselves, man. They don't like looking at themselves in the mirror. They have no value. They have no worth. They have no confidence. They lack self-esteem. In our old ways, in traditional ways, when we were birthed into this world as a young boy, we were nurtured by many men. We had many men around us that were called uncles. We also had those aunties around us as well. But we had many masculine energies that would support us through our growth as original people of the land. We were able to learn our roles. We were able to learn our responsibilities, not only to ourselves, but to the community and from the country or the land that we were on. Now, as we went through adolescence, if we ever had troubles, if we ever had emotional battles, if we didn't know any direction, we had no purpose, then we would have those elders that would take us underneath the wing and show us the direction and the way to get back onto our own path and our own dreaming. What I've seen in modern society is that many men lack that. Many men lack masculine support networks. I'm so grateful to be able to help many men on this journey. And it's as easy as just being in the space to create that safe, that secure space for a man to be able to walk and action his path, direction, conquest, journey within his life. It is natural for a man to want to go on his own little hero's journey. It's in our DNA, it's in our biology. But as we've seen in modern society, we've been twisted on its head because most of men's value equals the dollar signs within their bank account. That was me, man. Mm-hmm. I literally thought that to myself. And there was times within my life when my confidence went down because of those zeros or those non-zeros in the bank account. So what really walked into my brothers and sisters is an emasculation of the masculine energy. We now have an opportunity, while all these systems around us are falling down, to come in and start balancing out not only this masculine energy, which is under attack, but also the feminine energy to support that as we go through this healing process on the planet. So I hope that's just a nice little introduction, my brothers, where we can start diving in deep, because I get really passionate about it, because we are now living in a time when so many men, like here in the land down under, are taking their lives. And I know what it's like over there on the other side of the pond as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing what my brothers have got to add to that tonight.
I want to ask you real quick, why do you say it's under attack?
It's under attack because what I mean by that is that naturally men can make change. You only got to think over these last couple of years, brothers and sisters. We've been under attack. Whether you understand it or not, we have been controlled. You done this even go back about 50, 60, 70 years ago. go back 100 years ago. We had things called revolts, revolutions, man, where men would stand up together and express and speak their voice. But what's happened over the last couple of years? We've literally covered up without even saying why.
Mm. Mm.
Deep. It's deep.
So much in there to unpack, Ev. And I'm really excited about tonight's episode too, because yeah, I was like you. What struck me and what you said, Ev, was my value, my worth was connected to my bank account. And when that plummeted, in fact, turned into a negative after my business crash, I almost took my life because of it. You know, I thought I was a failure at everything, including being me. And it took me a while to find the man that's here today.
So how do we find that? How do we find that man, Josh? How did you find that man within? And how do you define that man?
How do I define that man? That's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you. You know, today, the man that I'm proud to be is someone who leads with the heart, someone who speaks my truth, who honors my truth and shares that with others in all of my interactions with everybody, including the guy who cleans the floors here at my apartment building and saying good morning and being nice and kind, being thoughtful to others around me. I enjoy showing up in a positive, light, loving way with everybody, including my team on Shark Tank. And we're all people. And that's a huge value of mine, is showing up that way. But being a man is standing up for ourselves, finding our voice, speaking our boundaries, speaking those values and those truths that are important to us, and also creating that safety for ourselves to speak these words out into the world and share those with the world. So that's what it is to me.
How about you, Fasana? What makes a man a real man?
Well, I'm actually stuck on Ev saying that we've been shut down. Men have been shut down. And I'm trying to understand that, Ev. How so have men been shut down where it's not in the old way? Because kind of the way I look at it is that it's getting past beyond all the old paradigms, the old definitions of what a man should be. Start moving into new. Start learning how to balance the masculine and feminine energies inside of each other. Learn how to communicate lovingly. It all comes down to knowing who you are. Ev, you said it right at the beginning when you said most men, I'm going to say most people, don't know who they are. If you actually ask somebody, who are you? Do you really know who you are? Have you embraced who you are? How have you embraced all parts of you? And have you learned how to express that lovingly, openly, by standing in an empowered place? And I'm just trying to think, how have men been shut down from that? Because if we are knowing who we are, balancing the masculine and feminine energies, because that's all it is. It's energy. Rachel said it 2 weeks ago on the show. It's all energy. And we're balancing that energy inside of us, learning through nurturing ourselves, compassion, learning how to feel, learning how to open our heart space, but stand in the assertive aspects of the masculine energy. then we can actually stand for ourselves, not stand up for ourselves, and really dispel and move out of the old toxic masculinity that pervades in this world. And I just can't see how that can be shut down.
I'm talking, yeah, I love that, Jeff. I'm talking about systems that we're currently living in where people are under control of a particular hand without going into certain names. We literally are seeing systems break down all around us: monetary, social systems, like I said, economic, educational systems. Yet you tell me how many brothers are coming together to give direction and create new systems for paths that are going to help not only as men, but as a community and for the country and land that we live on.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the moment, we are being told to go into certain little groups. We are being separated and we're being pulled in little directions, which is not allowing us to come as that one that we're talking about.
Mm.
That's what I'm talking about, being shut down.
And that's what I said too, the old in general.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much old in the world that, right now. When you look out in the world, there's so much fighting to keep that old in place. The old definitions of masculine, what a man should be. So much old, and that's what's really what you're talking about. As you know, and correct me if I'm wrong. Is that all of the old systems are breaking down? But there's still so many people out there trying, desperately fighting to the death to hold that old in place. And in our production meeting, the example of, if we all look at how we have shifted and changed our path, our process, and how at times we went kicking and screaming and our egos wanted to hold that old in place. And if we burst through that, that old died. So we're actually looking in the world, I think, right now at a lot of death of the old, and then a whole group of people. And what we're professing on this show and what we're doing, and we're all saying, is that this is new. This is brand new. We are dispelling the old masculine programming and conditioning of what a man should be. And I'm also including women in this, because there is so much masculinity within that as well. So it's really about balancing it, not only in men, but in women as well, and allowing the old to die. If everybody can just think of how through our process in life, how we held on to so much old behaviors that held so much old in place, and how we fought to keep that old in place. Thus, we were fighting within ourselves as opposed to opening and moving into the unknown. And Ev, that's why things are shutting down, because when they shut down and they die, there's a vast unknown out there. And that unknown is what we are building here with the new masculine energy and feminine energy combined within all of us.
Which is exactly why I'm saying, with so much instability within the world right now, it's up to men naturally as that masculine energy to start creating the stability, which is naturally the masculine energy's role.
I like what Elaine Leonard says: fear is so strong in many to lose what they think they can't live without. So that's a beautiful statement there. I want to invite you, Josh. What do you think men are afraid of what they can't live without? What are we afraid of losing?
Control, I would say, number one.
Yeah. Well, here's the question, though, Josh. How many of us actually feel that we are in control? We're afraid of losing it, but we've already. But if we're fearful of losing it, there's a really good chance we've lost it.
And added to which, how often does life go the way we think it will go? Probably rarely, if ever. So we're trying to control something that we just need to drop into trust and surrender with anyway, and surrender to the process that things will change and always do. So control is just an illusion. It's that fear underneath, and I think it's the fears underneath a lot of things that drive that toxic masculinity and that drive that need for men to show up with this false bravado of strength and of courage. It's all a mask for fear. It's all fear underneath, fear of seeming to be weak, or fear of seeming to be too emotional and too feminine. For people like me that was more sensitive, that armor that Ev talks about, or that we talk about, needing to show that we're tough on the outside. That's the old stories. That's all the stuff that was handed down to us from generations before us. Boys don't cry, man up, don't show your feelings, don't show your emotions. That's weakness. All of these old things. That's the death that Jeff's talking about.
Beautiful. I'm going to switch gears here, Josh. I'm going to tag you, Ev, and ask you, what do you think we need from the women in our life as men to not help us, but to inspire us to step into our true masculine self as men? How can the women in our lives help inspire us or support us? Or what is it that we are lacking in our relationships with feminine divine that's blocking us from becoming the true essence of who we were born to be as men?
Yeah, beautiful. And a lot of that goes back to, like you said, that beautiful feminine energy back in the old ways, just as much as they should be right now. They created that safe space for men, to show men that they were supported on their journey, to show men that they are seen, that I do see your purpose, I do see your direction, and I honor that as well. So many of the men that I help, I've had brothers, and I'll put my hand up in my own personal experience as well. When I was showing the emotion, it was either a conflict or harden up and have some balls. So this is where it gets toxic feminine as well. So this goes on both sides, and this is where these imbalances occur. And that's where I feel many of these femicentric programs have really caused an imbalance of so many systems within our society. Not only being able to provide and allow that beautiful divine feminine nature for the feminine energy to support that masculine energy, but also on a spiritual level, which is a high part of that feminine energy to provide for that masculine, sometimes logical energy.
Yeah, I love that, Ev. I'm just going to break it down from my perspective, because I was once that toxic man, and many people maybe didn't see it, but it came through. I was aware of it. I was not at peace with the man I had become. And for me, the pivot was when I met my partner, Mary, and she created a safe space for me where I, for the first time in many years, didn't feel like if I would speak, I was going to be judged. And my circumstances were a little different, because when we met, I was going through some massive medical conditions, and also the emotional side of the death of a marriage. But what she did for me was beyond profound, which was she just shut up and she just let me talk. She just was an active listener. She didn't try to rescue me. She didn't try to save me. She didn't try to give me solutions when I'd ask her for insight. She very rarely gave it. But for the first time in my life, I truly felt safe with a woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so from my perspective, if you are watching our show and you are a woman in a relationship with a man, I'm going to speak from my own experience, is that what your man needs is to be heard. What your man needs is to feel safe. What your man needs is not to be mothered, but to be honored and held and loved. We don't need another mother. How many women, at least I can't speak for Australia, brother, but I'm going to speak for the US of A. How many women basically follow in the same footsteps that their mom, how their mom showed up in the relationship with their father? They were dominant. The husband shut down and shut up.
Yep.
Now, again, I'm not judging. I'm speaking from my own life experience of witnessing what happened in my own homes. And so, that storyline, happy wife, happy life, that is such a crock of BS. That plays into the programming. That plays into this whole thing of emasculation of the masculine divine.
Mm-hmm.
We feel stripped of our vigor. We feel stripped of our strength. No.
Our voice.
No, our voice. Yes. Yes. All we need is to feel heard. All we need is to feel safe. To begin to even get in touch with what it is that we're feeling.
Isn't that up to us, Jay? Isn't that up to us as individuals? Instead of looking out at a woman to do that for us, isn't it up to us as responsible human beings, spiritual beings, to take that action for ourselves so we can feel safe in here no matter what relationship we're in? That's I feel that's our responsibility. And then we state our needs and we set our boundaries in whatever relationship that we're in. That's the personal process, right?
That's true. But I clearly said if we're in a relationship, I quantified that. But at the same time, Josh, I'm going to give you just one sec before I lose this thought, is that this is a duality here. This is the same thing with us as men, because I showed up as that rescuer. I was not a good listener either. I sucked at that. I was always going to solutions. I was always going to, part of codependent behaviors that I showed in my 54 years of life was I was guilty as charged as well. Nobody was listening. I was listening. She wasn't listening. In the end, we're going like this, and then we're going like this. I mean, I'm not speaking a foreign language here. This is very common in relationships. So if we all just learned how to become active listeners and observers, and instead of trying to rescue or fix our partner, how's about begin to embrace something called empathy? Because if I had your life, if I had your experiences, I'd be showing up just the way you are. And can we love them through that? Can we embrace their soul? Do we even know who their soul is? Oh, what do you think of that, Av?
Yeah,
What are we
deep.
falling in love with?
100%, my brother. 100%. What was the question? Everything you said, Jay. Everything you said.
Do we even know our partner's soul? Do we even
The answer
know?
is yes.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, it's on a deeper level. And you know,
Yeah.
that's where we've got to come back and, you know, ask when we go into these relationships, have we just fallen into them as a codependent attachment, or to make this real connection that you're talking about, where we're going to go in deep and really find out that soul?
Yep. And I know many men who are looking for mom that they never had and have recreated the relationship that mom and dad had as well. You know, many men do it too. And really, it's all that conditioning of going into a relationship as a 15-year-old.
But I hear you both, Jay and Jeff, and I wanted to touch back on finding our voice, because Jeff, you're right. It is up to us to find our voice and to speak our truth and to honor that inside of us, right? But Jay, I hear you also, because I've done a lot of that work, but only recently have I been in a relationship where I felt honored and I felt that my voice was important. And that almost just catapults things. It's that next level of being seen and being heard. And the two of those together, I think that's where we do need the women to just hold that space for us.
Why do you
we
think
do need our women to do that?
Josh? I want to take a moment here to first of all to acknowledge that you've said this a few times now. Like, this time something's different.
Yeah.
What do you think that, like, how did you get from there to here? Because you're not a 20-something-year-old guy now. You're in your 40s. How did
Took me a while.
you land this beautiful partner today that perhaps maybe for the first time or close to the first time, you're experiencing a different type of relationship?
It's balanced.
What's changed?
Yeah, and to Jeff's point, we first doing the work within ourselves and cleaning up we got to clean up our side of the street, right? We got
There we
to
go.
let go of all these old stories. We have to, when we show up differently, relationships are just a mirror, right?
Exactly.
We've said that over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's a mirror for us. So yes, I would say that 90% of the work has to be within us and finding our truth, our value, our worth, our self-love, our voice in protecting those things within us. We that mothering, nurturing partner that we always wanted in the outside world, we have to be that for ourselves. And so then therefore we enter into a relationship not out of lack, not out of need, but out of true connection and union. And when it becomes really special, really different, really fun, and what I've experienced recently is that that layer of being honored, seen, and valued from my partner. And that is immensely, it's just I don't, it's interesting. I've never been called to explain this. I don't know why that makes such a big difference in my confidence, in it just takes it all the work that I've done to another level. If that makes any sense.
That just may come down to the law of attraction. Where we're at is what we attract. The more work you do, the healthier relationships, as Jeff says, the energy exchange is going to play. It's going to play out.
Yep. Yeah. Every relationship that we're in is a reflection of the relationship we're having with ourselves. Once we start to really change the relationship with ourselves and let our heart open. Also, Josh, what could be happening, and I'm finding this in many wonderful relationships that I'm having, based upon the process that I'm moving through, my heart's opening. I'm allowing my heart to open and creating a space within me to now allow that love from others, even people who have been in my life for 20 years. I'm opening and allowing that love to finally penetrate that armor that I created over my heart because of my wounding and my conditioning and my programming. So
What's the shift? What's the shift, Jeff? Why now? You're not in your 40s. You're in your 60s like I am now. But what was the pivot? What was that defining moment for you when you finally said, this sounds relatively recent, that I'm willing to kind of remove the veil so I can prevail?
It was moving out of, like I said earlier with Ev, everything else was my old behaviors was keeping me at a distance from others. And it was by revealing those old behaviors and why I was perpetrating those old behaviors to keep me separated was a fear of mom's engulfment, perhaps. Was a fear of the models that I had of looking at mom and dad. It was all of that surrounding that I begin to realize that that's not Jeff, the 64-year-old man. That's Jeff, the 12-year-old boy. And differentiating between that so I can nurture that boy. And then as I open my heart, I can be the adult. And then when all that stuff comes up, I can differentiate that that is not in the here and now anymore. And also, I've moved to a level of honoring and valuing and loving me more than I ever have in my life, and seeing the abundance within me. And it has been a practice pretty much over the last 3 years of my life, every single day, to get to this place, because we all want to be loved. We all want to be loved. We all want our hearts to open and be loved for who we are, and allow that love in. And it's not only about opening your heart space to it, it's about opening your physical space to it and your life to it. And begin to allow that in. But it's been years of building a foundation of who I truly am as an adult, and be able to differentiate when the wound comes in. Then that is what I allowed to run my life. That's not happening anymore. Now I could be the adult, recognize, oh, wow, that's my 12-year-old. As Jay, you would always say, how old are you right now? That's an amazing tool. How old am I right now in this moment? Oh, wow.
So it's interesting, Jeff. You just struck a chord with me. We talk about how some of us showed up in our younger years as a man, specifically here, since we are on Real Men Real Talk Live, and we were willing to take a lot of risk, right? We were willing to risk this play the stock market. We're willing to risk investments. We're willing to risk leaving a company, starting a new company, going into business for ourselves. We're willing to risk selling a house, buying a house. We're willing to risk getting into a new relationship, coming out of a toxic relationship. But how many of us men have been willing to open our heart? The one thing that we'd be risking is, if you saw my true heart, I may get hurt one more time. I may get let down. Yet here we are as men, we're willing to take all of these freaking risks in life. But the one that is the most important risk to take is love. And yet that's the one that we are most resistant around. And then we end up in these relationships with partners that most likely are lacking the love as well. And that's why we are with them.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
What are you thinking of?
Yeah. Sorry, Josh, you go.
Go ahead.
I was
Josh.
just going to agree with Jay and say that was the absolute last thing I wanted, was to show that vulnerability and that love and that heart.
Yep.
I tried everything else before that.
Yep.
Yeah,
That was like hell no. I wouldn't
It's
show
old,
that.
right, Josh? It's just it's these old behaviors that we held in place out of some sort of fear that we're not, we're not going to be enough. We're not going to be loved for who we are. We're not worthy enough. We're not this. We're not. It's always a not what we're not. It's about building it up to what we are and who we really truly are, and then expressing that with love.
Yeah, you hit on the head, brother. For me, I never really had those tools as that young fella. So when you were going through some of those tough situations, those risky behaviors come out. I had those toxic, risky behaviors with drugs, alcohol, those distractions from the environment, the people you were hanging around with, finding yourself in risky environments, which in turn goes into some of those risky behaviors. And all at the end of the day, all I wanted to do was be able to be not only heard, but felt. I did not have the tools to feel my emotions at that time within my life. So it comes with a lot of introspection and self-journey work on my note. And what I was saying at the start, we now today as brothers have many conscious brothers being able to awaken and create these masculine support networks, which we allow ourselves to be heard, so we can feel our emotions and not actually go into some of these risky behaviors that I've mentioned.
And create that new paradigm, that new paradigm in the world of a new collective consciousness, a new paradigm, and letting go of all of that old stuff and the old, like I said, those old behaviors, that old stuff. Whatever you're talking about is creating a new paradigm.
Yeah.
So how do we get there, Josh? Like if you're not Josh Richer, but let's say you have a man that shows up right on time in your life, and he acknowledges to you, I'm miserable, I suck at relationships, I either in a toxic one or everyone has been, my life feels out of control. How would you guide him? What would you say to inspire him that it's possible to tap into another way to experience your life? Where do you begin? How do you begin?
Well, I'm no coach, but I can only express what I've done in my life. And that was, I gotta piggyback on Ev to answer this as well, because we spent so much of our lives stuffing our emotions, men do, but then dying to feel. And that's the thrill of the fast car, and that's the thrill of that, gambling or spending money or betting on sports, or it's like we want to feel. And so the biggest for me was acknowledging my feelings in the very beginning and the very start, and be sitting with them for the first time ever. And just being okay sitting with them. You can sit with discomfort. You can sit with fear. You can sit with pain. And I would talk myself through, the brain is a terrible judge of severity. It runs to the worst case scenario, and it considers everything life and death. The brain evolved over hundreds of thousands of years when life was life and death. Today, we live in a society where, all of our pressures and triggers don't mean that we're going to die, but the brain also doesn't think that way. So it was talking myself off the ledge every time. And it was every time being triggered or feeling emotions that were uncomfortable that I wanted to stuff down again, like my patterns were for so many years, as allowing them to be and reminding myself I'm okay. And if you, for the seedlings of starting, I would say that even that is massive. And just learning to sit with the emotions that come up and not stuff and not shame and not fear them coming up and not feel less than or feel that it's weakness or feel that this is something you can't handle. We can. And I would say the beginning of my rebirth was sitting with them.
So I want to thank you, Josh, for digging in a little bit there. I would acknowledge that for me personally, the first, I come back to the 4 A's. You've heard me say it a few times now. The first A, but there's the 4 A's, but there's another component. There's a few components I'm going to add to it. First A is the awareness. You have to have the awareness that how you've been showing up or how you feel about your life and your relationships. You're not at peace anymore. You are ready to surrender. The first A is awareness. Then there's the surrender. And part of the surrender comes after that is courage. It takes courage to do the work that you guys have talked about tonight. It takes courage. It took courage for me to step into my truths, raise my hand freaking every single day and share my truths that had a lot of pain, a lot of heaviness, a lot of darkness with it. But through that process, one of the things I did, every day I kept praying. Like, please, God, don't take me out of this surrender and don't take me out of courage. Now, when I was praying to God, I was really talking to my ego, because ego never wants to surrender. Ego never wants to step into courage. Ego just wants to minimize it, deny it as a problem, and just take back control and keep doing what he's always done. So for me, it was a daily practice, creating new spiritual practices around learning how to take care of myself, learning what the true essence of what self-care means. Self-care is not a massage. Self-care is not a bath. Self-care is not a pedicure or a manicure or a round of golf. I'm talking, those are all really nice pampering experiences.
That sounds great, man.
That's a bad
all of that could be, part of your self-care.
But I'm talking about going in deep to reach that part of yourself that you've turned off decades ago. The part of you that's willing to experience love. The part of you that's willing to experience sadness. The part of you that's willing to tap in to understand what it is you're actually feeling as a man. And then having the courage to honor those, having the courage to speak about them, having the courage to write about them, having the courage to share it with maybe only one person you trust in your life, whoever that might be.
Hey, Jay, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
This is show 111.
111. Yeah.
I think the four of us have shared in 111 shows to a lot of who we are, a lot of our vulnerability, a lot of so much about ourselves to many more than just one person.
Yes.
I'm just going to say this, guys, what we're doing here, and this is not boasting, this is not ego. This is what we're doing on this show is part of creating the new paradigm.
There you go. That's why this show
Yep.
was launched. This show was launched through my pain. This show was launched because I knew that if I could do it, we all can do it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that if I could have the courage to step in and meet my soul, we all have that same opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know. We just don't know how to go about it. We don't know how to get there. So we hide. We hide behind extremely toxic behaviors, choices, and addictions. We hide behind very, very strong partners that keep us playing small, that don't invite us to light us up, that don't inspire us, but beat us down, that have us retreating. It could be a boss. It could be a friend. It could be a sibling. It could be a parent. Be aware of who you surround yourself with. Because the 5 people that are in your inner circle, it's you. So you're right, Jeff. That was for me the inspiration for launching this podcast over 2 years now, 111 episodes, was to bring hope to sisters, to mothers, to brothers, to friends,
Mm-hmm.
that we can become our own change makers in our life.
Mm.
We just have to have awareness that we're sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. We have to have courage. We have to be willing to surrender. We have to be willing to, maybe for the first time in our life, take accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not in a guilt and shame and blame kind of way, but freaking own it. Own it.
Mm-hmm.
Own it. Say, yeah, I don't like the man I became. I hated myself. That was me. There's freedom in that. There's freedom in that. And when we're able to say it and we're able to express it and accept it, we can take action to tap in and get to know who we are, the true essence of who we are, the balance between the masculine and the feminine. And for the first time in many of us men's lives, learning how to be at peace with that. Because I got that tattoo. I told you this in the show before, 2nd grade. That little boy of yours, Jay, he's a sensitive little boy. Oh, did I hear that? I was like, nope. Turn that shit off right here, right now.
But you are. You're a sensitive man now.
Oh, I love
you're cancer, brother. You're cancer. You naturally have that sensitivity.
You know what? For the first time in my life, I'm at peace with who I am today.
Beautiful.
It's been a hell of a journey. You guys, you're with me on it. This is our journey.
No doubt.
This isn't my story. This is our story.
Yep.
We've had 111 episodes plus hundreds of hours in production meetings, post-show production meetings.
And men out there, one of the most beautiful gifts that I've been given from this show has been telling on myself over and over and over. That's the freedom, because what we've spent so much energy hiding from the world is your freedom. That is the answer to your freedom.
Say it again.
What we've worked so hard to hide from everyone is the answer to your freedom. Tell on yourself. Your vulnerability is your power, is your truth.
It's your
That is
gateway.
your answer.
Mm-hmm.
1,000%. 1,000%. And I would ask, what are you afraid of? Because that's your freedom. What are you afraid of? Are you afraid to try because you'll fail? Well, I can tell you, you're going to fail. We are all going to fail at something, but that doesn't make us a failure. It makes us human. So go, speak your truth, speak your vulnerability. You will find your power in that. And that's what this show has given me.
Really? What are you afraid of? That's the question. Look right in the mirror, right into your eyes, and ask yourself, what am I afraid of?
Yeah. You know what it is? It's being seen.
Yeah.
It's being seen.
Yep.
I want to take a moment here just to breathe. And this moment of breath is for Dr. Charles and Sanya, who took me out for a beautiful lunch today. I figured we'd be there maybe an hour and a half. Heck no. That was a 3-hour deep dive into the rabbit hole of truths. What an incredible lunch today. And we touched on the gift of breath.
Mm.
And we touched on a gift of water. Between breath and water, we have infinite possibilities. But I don't want to take us off of tonight's topic as we're approaching the hour here. Have you been quiet for a while? Josh is just freaking on fire. I'm on fire tonight. Let's light Everest Love Heath up in this moment. Talk to me, brother.
Man,
take us home, Ev.
I think we've all heard it. It is a beautiful, deep show. And again, I just want to, I guess, make an easy close. And that's just thank Jay the Roth Man for creating such a beautiful platform for us brothers on it, Real Men Real Talk Live, but for all of our brothers and sisters also out there that, continuously support us week in, week out and, share with you your vulnerability. How we show up is how you show up. So, us men being able to pave this way, like you said it before, Jeff, we are getting an opportunity right now to create this new balance of this divine feminine and masculine energy on this planet. So there were so many tools tonight, my brothers and sisters. I hope you can walk away, and I look forward to watching this replay as well.
Fasano,
Yo.
Talk to me, New York. Talk to me.
I tell you what Josh said. Look at every man, every person out there. We're all frightened inside of us. There's something that wounded boy and girl in all of us is frightened of.
Yep.
That is what shuts us down. That is what shuts us down. That is what that is how and why I created armor around my heart space. Because of, as we've said thousands of times on this show, wounding, conditioning, programming, not only in this lifetime, but from past lifetimes that I came in this lifetime to experience, to heal. And all it had to do with is, if in fact I open my heart and I am vulnerable, will I be loved? If in fact I say I'm frightened right now, will I be loved? So it's about looking at yourself in the mirror, as Josh just said, and just looking in your own eyes and see if you can do that. Stare right into the mirror for 10 seconds and ask the question, what am I afraid of? What am I so afraid of? And then spontaneously be truthful to yourself and allow that to come out. And then if you have to, write it down, because that in the moment is your truth. It's the truth of where you are. But the truth of your being is that you are loved exactly for who you are, but it's up to each and every one of us to find that out for ourselves. But as Jay just said, it's about developing whatever process or practice that we need to develop, working with other people if we need to develop that innate sense of self, that we are lovable for exactly who we are.
Boom. There you go. I want to take a moment here. Yeah. Let's take a moment just to breathe. Let's all close our eyes. Viewers, we invite you to close our eyes, your eyes. Although we're inviting you to look in a mirror at your eyes, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes in this moment. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Hold it for 3 or 4 seconds. And then slowly let it out through your mouth. One more nice deep breath in through your nose. Slowly let it out. I want to thank my 3 co-hosts for joining me tonight. This is how a real man shows up today. These aren't tears of anger. These aren't tears of sadness. These are tears of gratitude. I didn't know what that could feel like because I turned off my feelings as an adult man. Gratitude is the gateway to coming home to yourself, men and women. Before you go chasing that next relationship to fill you up, look in the mirror. Start there. Learn how to date yourself. Learn how to see yourself. Learn how to acknowledge yourself. Learn how to like yourself. And just maybe, you will fall in love with yourself. As each one of us has been working on to do, to come home, to return to love. We all have it within us. Let's just show up and let's grow up and do this together. I love you guys. Thank you for sharing episode 111 on June 30th, 2022. Peace and blessings. We'll see you all next week on 112. Have a beautiful evening. Do some self-care this weekend, guys and gals, brothers and sisters, and look in the mirror and smile at yourself and begin the process of coming home. With that, we'll see you next week.